Where'll you be going?
Texas?
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Go on, make it happen.
And now here's Steve and Michelle.
Welcome from the heart of Dripping Springs. We are Mallet and Michelle, hosted by me, Michelle Lewis, and Steve Mallet.
Hey there, Michelle. How you doing?
I'm recovering over the bad joke you just told me.
If you're curious, you can email me. I'll tell you what it was. It was a bad joke, wasn't it?
It was a very bad joke.
Are you recovering from your weekend?
I am recovering from my weekend. I'll tell you about that in just a second.
Well, first, before we get started, we want to thank our sponsors and our first sponsor, Nomic Power Solutions. I was reminded last week when that hellacious thunderstorm came through, we all need a backup generator, so call Nomic for that. And other sponsors are
M. Elliott Studio and Capital Farm Credit and Mallet Integrity Team.
Oh, you did that so well.
Thank you very much.
And our guest today
is one of my favorite people in the whole world, Peggy Hipolito.
Isn't she cool?
She is a cool person. She's recovering from shoulder surgery right now. And so I have become her little bodyguard when we go out in public.
Don't hug her.
Yeah, don't hug her. You know why? Because I did it and I felt really bad.
Oh, yeah, I know. I hate when that happens.
You just
Somebody's got a hurt shoulder or something. Like, no, it's okay. It doesn't hurt that bad. And her face is all red.
No, she looked at me like she about went white.
Oh,
so that's what it was. So let me tell you about my little weekend.
Yeah.
I went and saw Madonna.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. So aside from the demons, the masturbation simulation, the bass pounding in my chest, it was an amazing concert. It was absolutely amazing. 15-year-old Michelle was so excited. She was almost 2 hours late. She won't let the venues turn the AC on. Because
it messes with
her voice.
That's what you were saying.
Which is insane. She yells at people for not standing up. Actually, she did it, I think, at a concert a couple of weeks ago, and she yelled at somebody, and he was in a wheelchair. So
Stand up. I think Joe Biden did that once. Stand up. Let me give you a round of applause. Oh, he's in a wheelchair.
It's, I feel like I need this, spiritual cleansing, but I have to tell you something which really surprises me, because I've always been a country music girl at heart. I've listened to country music my entire life, but when I was, I was an 80s teen, and a friend of mine, Brandy, introduced me to Madonna, and I listened to Madonna growing up early, Borderline, Lucky Star, those kind of songs.
I'm shaking my head.
Yeah.
No, don't know any of those.
I have gotten a little bit of pushback from my friends.
About going to see Madonna?
Because how controversial she is. And look, I'm going to just be real honest with you. I could give a beep about her politics. She absolutely doesn't align with me. But I just want her.
She's a talented
She's an
artist.
entertainer, and I want to be entertained. And I didn't think the same thing when I went and saw James Taylor. But John Cougar Mellencamp, was it yesterday or day before yesterday? He was on stage and he got into a tussle with somebody in the audience, and he refused to play the rest of his concert and threw a hissy fit and left.
No way.
And it's like, I went and saw Bruce Springsteen. I don't care. It's a reminder of my childhood. I love live music. I've been going to concerts, since I was probably 12 years old.
You know what the big part of all that for me is? If your career is to entertain people, don't bring your politics into it. Nobody freaking cares what your politics are.
Agree.
In fact, when an actor that I really like starts talking about politics and it doesn't align with what I want, I'm like, would you just shut up? I like your movies. Yeah. I want to continue to watch your movies. And you're ruining it for me when you tell me some stupid, weird theory you have about gun control or what, or their Supreme Court or whatever. Just do your job that you're paid to do.
I always say, just be the dancing monkey and just hit your little cymbals.
Exactly.
That just entertain me. But aside from all of that, I got the T-shirt.
The $55 Madonna T-shirt.
How long has it been since you've been to a concert? That's how much shirts
I asked Cedric this
nowadays.
morning when you came in. I said, Cedric, is there any T-shirt you can think of in the entire world you would spend $55 on? And we both looked at each other and was like, nope.
Well, I did. I wore a really cute skirt with it, and I'm going to have my picture taken with Peggy. But I realized that I walked by the mirror, and just right before we went into the podcast, and I was like, the eyeballs look like they're headlights on my boobs. So this was
So
not
when you see the picture next week on Facebook, make sure you look at Michelle's headlights. Well, my story's not as interesting as that. I don't know. Have you ever been to the north or just the east side of Town Lake, Lady Bird Lake? Where the Pleasant Valley Dam is, the Longhorn Dam on Pleasant Valley?
Yes. I did a Coast Guard auxiliary thing.
Oh, did you? Yeah. So about 2 years ago, there used to be a trail that went, there was a little wall about 3 feet high, and then it dropped about 50 feet down to the water, and the trail was about 3 feet wide there. And you had to run. I always felt like I had vertigo. I was going to fall off the edge of the bridge, but they finally improved that. Now it's about 12 feet wide, and there's a barrier between you and the traffic. Well, to get to that from the north side of the trail, you used to have to go across this little spit of land that sticks out across this wooden bridge. Well, now there's the city of Austin has been raising money to put it's a wishbone shaped bridge. So it's looks like a upside down Y or a Y standing up. So three-legged bridge, and it's going to have a pavilion.
Three-legged bridge? That doesn't
three-legged bridge.
That doesn't sound safe.
Yeah. But
I once had a three-legged dog.
Yeah. But they're going to get rid of the wooden bridge, which is probably long past due, and they're going to connect this new bridge to the dam, to the mainland, and then to this little spit of land. So what has pushed that over the top is that the federal government, I guess from that Build Back Better money or whatever, has given the city $4 million to push that project forward. So
good thing we don't have any barges in the lake,
Yeah,
because
I know.
apparently those are going rogue right
yeah.
now. Those are going crazy.
Yeah. So when the idea first came up, the project was supposed to cost $13 million. Now the budget for it is $25 million.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's in the planning stages. They're saying it could be finished, I think they're saying by 2026 for a cost of $25 million. But
that's a lot of millions.
Yeah, I know. This project, it's going to have this little 76-foot wide pavilion in the middle with some ornamental trees, benches, shade trees.
Some good viewing areas.
Yeah, it'd be a nice place to sit.
Nice place to sit. When was the last time you ran along there?
About 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
That's one of my favorite places to go.
What was the date around 2 weeks ago? Go finish your story. I'm gonna follow up on something.
Don't hold me to that. It was say within the last couple of weeks. But part of the project is also, you probably have never done this trail. Underneath Pleasant Valley Road from the Town Lake Trail, there is a 6-foot wide tunnel that we call the urine tunnel because
I have been on a kayak.
No, this is a walking tunnel. It connects the trail to those ball fields on the east side of Pleasant Valley.
You've probably never been to the Littlefield parking area. That is also called the urine tunnel.
I've not ever been to that. You have to tell me about that. Well, part of this $25 million project is they're going to expand that 6-foot wide tunnel into a 30-foot wide tunnel.
30 feet of urine.
Yeah, 30 feet of urine. That tunnel is gross. I ran through there once after we had a huge rainstorm, and there was like 6 inches of water in there, and I felt like I was running through a septic tank.
It smells like New Orleans.
Oh my God, it's disgusting. But
well,
anyway.
I'm glad that you mentioned the Longhorn Dam, and actually I looked it up. Your dates being there 2 weeks ago, so I'm going to rule you out as a suspect.
Good.
You're welcome.
And I didn't have a machete with me.
That's true. Another body has been recovered.
You're kidding.
From Ladybird Lake. Actually, the last one, a fisherman recovered it dead at Longhorn. At the Longhorn Dam. At the Longhorn Dam.
Well, of course, that's downstream. That's where they're going to go.
They just pulled out, I think it was yesterday, so as the time of this release, it'll be a week past, but they just pulled out somebody alive from Ladybird Lake. They were unconscious, so hopefully maybe they'll get some sort of question. But let me tell you, I'm sorry, it's starting to seem like a broken record. Does Austin have a serial killer? Because let me tell you, it's so many bodies have been pulled out over the last 11 years or 10 years, something like that. But more recently, things have been happening, and they're all kind of focused near or around Rainey Street. So these guys are coming out of bars. There's talks that are the bartenders drugging you or somebody else drugging you. But we do have our own serial killer here in Austin, and he's fixing to go on trial. His name is Raul Mesa Jr. In 1982, he killed an 8-year-old child. You're
kidding.
He was sentenced to a 30-year sentence. He got out in 11 years. And then he killed again.
Oh, my God.
19, 23. And then since he has been tied to 10 to 12 cold call cases in the Austin area.
Cold call means he just knocks on...
I'm sorry, not cold call. Cold cases. I'm in real estate.
Yeah,
I'm thinking cold call.
Say.
Cold cases. He is asking for a plea deal, which he's in his 50s, so he would want a 50-year plea deal. Well, last time they gave him 30, he got out on 11. So I say no, give him the chair.
Yeah.
Give him the chair. So there's my little...
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, part of the reason there's so many people down there, part of my story, 5 million people a year use that trail.
Oh.
So if 5 million people, it's 5 million uses. 5 million people is probably because a lot of those people are using it multiple times. But there's a lot of people going down in that area. That's maybe one of the reasons people fall in the lake. Maybe they're drunk and they drown.
I just want to say that if you go out with a group of friends and you leave a friend behind on, you're going out and you're drinking, you are a despicable person. It happened to that kid in Nashville where he left, I think it was Eric Church's new bar or something, or Luke Bryan's new bar. And they left him and they found him in the river down there in Nashville. You are a despicable human being if you are leaving your friend when you should always have a buddy system. Buddy.
When we run downtown, we have a policy, nobody gets left behind.
Nobody gets left behind.
If there's 6 of us and somebody's having a bad day and they got to walk back to the car, at least one of us goes with them. So.
Well, when I have a couple of cocktails, I always go on what I call adventures. So please don't leave Michelle behind.
Never leave Michelle behind. No Michelle left behind.
No Michelle left behind.
Oh my gosh. Well, I hope that there isn't a serial killer, but it's interesting how many bodies are pulling out of that.
Yeah, well,
damn lake.
it's interesting. I'm going to start looking at your calendar, Mallet.
Where was Mallet? So I have a story. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick has asked the Texas senators to look into ending property taxes.
I am 100% for this because I think as homeowners, we get penalized for being homeowners,
Yep,
and they
agreed.
put none of the responsibility on renters in this town.
Yep,
So
I agree with that. Well, sort of. I'm not going down that road.
okay, I know they pay it because you're paying,
but still. But it's actually bad for renters, too, because they don't get any benefit from the increase in property taxes. But last year in June, Governor Abbott said Texans want to own their own property, not rent it from the government. Which, geez, don't you want to hear more of that?
That's what Governor Abbott said?
That's what Governor Abbott said. And at the time, Dan Patrick came out and said, I'm not for doing away with the property taxes. But he's since then changed his tune. Back then, he said... There's no way, let me see if I can find the quote. At the time, he said there's no way to end property taxes. To do so would require increasing the sales tax dramatically, which clearly has no support from the legislature or the people. The only other way is using current sales tax dollars, which can never be achieved. So they were talking about, we were talking with one of our clients from Oregon. They have a high sales tax, no income
or
tax.
State,
no, they have state income tax.
No
properties?
Oregon has a state tax, no sales tax.
That's what it is.
Yep.
Yes, but anyway, so I learned this yesterday. Dan Patrick sets the agenda for the coming legislature for the Texas when the Senate convenes next year for 2025 legislative session. He sets the agenda. So one of the things is he's asked the committee that oversees this to look into what's the possibility of us just doing away with property taxes, which I don't think will ever happen. They made a big step last year with that increase in the homestead exemption. I think there are probably a lot of people that have gotten their recent bills and said, damn, this is pretty good. I have had 2 of mine that have come in and I've said,
I didn't. I didn't.
Yeah, I know. I didn't understand why.
I didn't. I'm
Yeah.
going to rent my home from the state of Texas forever.
Well, Governor Abbott said that Texas can rely on continued revenue streams from sales and business franchise taxes to keep property taxes low. So,
I'm all for this. So is this going to go to a vote, or how does this?
well,
how
it's
does
going to
this
be.
work?
They're going to discuss it in the next legislative session. So, which is the 89th legislative session. Patrick says we're going to hit the ground running on the agenda for the next session. And he has a long list. I actually printed it out here. It's like, gosh, what is this? 20 pages of legislative stuff that they're from Health and Human Services and Natural Resources, Economic Development. But a couple of the highlights are they're going to continue to talk about school choice. Their continued property tax relief, hallelujah, strengthening the power grid, housing affordability, access to health care, super important, Delta 8, Delta 9 hemp products, overseeing that. So
A lot of my girlfriends love that stuff to sleep. They're not taking no-dose or whatever anymore. They're using
probably
it.
better for you.
They're using it to sleep.
Yeah, there's border security things on the agenda, business and commerce, electric market design, which, updating the grid so they can support some of these electric cars, which are not selling.
Grants for podcasters.
Grants for podcasters. Yeah, please sign us up. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I mean, I think we have reached a tipping point on property taxes where people are saying it's just too much.
It is too much.
I've always railed against income taxes, but state income tax. But as I get towards the age of retirement one day, which I don't think I'll ever retire, but you think, if I retire and I don't have any income anymore, I still have, even though when I turn 65, I get that homestead, the school tax locks. I'm still going to pay whatever amount I pay for years and years and years. But if there was a decrease in property taxes and an income tax, and I retire and I don't have any income, I'd pay less in taxes.
But Abbott, I think it was 2021, he made state tax unconstitutional in Texas. So there will never be a state tax.
Well, follow up on that. Governor Abbott thinks they can make it up in other ways.
I think so too. So too, because I had to pay we pay almost $20,000 in
just think about that when
property
you
taxes.
retire.
I know.
Ask Todd what you're going to get in Social Security.
We've already done this. We've already done this.
You're probably what you get in Social Security will just about pay for your property taxes, which is insane. If you're a retired person and you're,
I'm going to be selling plasma. Actually,
pencils on the beach.
Actually, I think there's an OnlyFans for senior citizens. So at that point, I may have some. I'll wear my Madonna shirt. I'll be fine.
Oh my God.
I'll be fine.
The world will collapse at that point.
Hey, you know what? We're Gen Xers. We don't age like regular people.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You had a story.
I do. I have some Dripping Springs community news.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, the Dripping Springs Community Library, they did an amazing fundraiser. It was that Library Giving Day. They exceeded their donations, what they were hoping to get, and they raised a little over $335,000. Yes, sorry, math is hard for Michelle. And HEB matched up to $50K, but I think they're going to go back and kind of ask them if they'll match the whole thing. I don't know why not. They had over 423 donors, but it does not include the gifts from businesses on that day that were donating a portions of their proceeds to them. So I don't think they have gotten that. But congratulations to Sarah and
Sarah
the
Rose,
Dripping Springs Library. I'm very excited. What was that? I never understood or didn't understand the dynamics behind what for of needing the new library, and now I do, obviously, because I need English lessons, but
and math lessons.
But along with that,
episode 117 is where Sarah Rose came on.
Okay.
So if you want to know more about what the library is doing and why it's so important, go back and listen to that episode.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Well, good. Oh, there you go. Yes, definitely listen to that. People are up in arms right now on the billboards on 12. Apparently there's 2 or 3.
I saw them going up, but I haven't seen them finished.
People are saying to boycott the businesses that go up there. I I don't know how I feel about that. It's not like billboards are very expensive nowadays, very, very expensive. But I do understand.
Are the businesses local?
I don't know because I don't think they have anything up there yet.
Oh,
But I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that, but I don't know how I feel about it's private property. The people that are the billboard people are renting that space from private property owners. They are getting the proceeds from that, and I am for
it's legal to put them up.
I am for private property
rights
and for people being able to do what they want. So I don't know. I mean, but it is
on that. I feel the same way that I'm all for private property rights, but it's a shame that the pretty drive into our town is going to be spoiled by billboards that would be better suited along I-35. But
yeah, and
I don't know what you're going to do.
I don't know
think
how,
boycotting the businesses is stupid.
Yeah, and I don't know how they're going to do the low lighting. I know that I don't know if some of it's in the ETJ. I'm assuming it is because you got to light up a billboard.
Maybe not, because remember that you can ask to be taken out of the ETJ.
Yeah, so I don't know. So there's that little chatter that's going on,
it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. If they're local businesses and people boycott them, all that will happen is national companies will go up there, and the national companies don't care if the people that live in Dripping Springs don't support them. They'll just be the people that drive through town that go down Ranch Road 12 will see those signs for Caterpillar or.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, like, what do you guess? If we had to guess, I think it's going to be some home builder, right? I
would guess maybe that new subdivision that's going in right there, which the name escapes me. That 24-home subdivision right along Barton Creek.
What about a Bucky sign? It says 125 miles.
Yeah, keep going on Ranch Road 12 all the way down to New Braunfels.
Maybe we have a Bucky sign. So that's kind of some of the chatter, but
yeah.
I have one more. I have one more. And speaking of Ranch Road 12.
Right in that area.
Right in the area on 12 and Fitzhugh. I'm sure if you're driving up and down that area, you've seen it. They're good friends of ours. The 12 Fox truck was stolen.
How the hell does that happen?
No. It's a black and white, or it's a black truck with white pinstriping. You think I was trying to see what it was. It's an older F-250 is kind of what you thought it was.
It's a brown F-250. Brownish. It looks like it's maybe 10 years old.
The license plate is 5. I think it's a 5. It's a 5 or an S. 9A7. The city and the police have said that they did not tow it. But as of yesterday, someone said they had spotted it up near Kingsland with their 12 Fox sign laying down.
I would think it would have gone the other way, going south towards Mexico, where they'd probably strip it and take it apart. But
I know they're just devastated. 12 Fox is just sick about this. But so yeah, be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, it's funny the amount of crime we're having in Dripping Springs now compared to the way it used to be. I was told a story, and I won't say how true this is, but it's a great story about 15 to 20 years ago, the DS grocery store, which is right over there by Sunstar Bank, right across from City Hall. That was a grocery store. A guy went in there with a shotgun to hold up, to take the money out of the till, and some old guy with a cowboy hat and cowboy boots on came from the back of the store and jerked the shotgun out of this guy's hand and chased him out of the store. I feel like we need a little more of that these days.
Isn't there a song about that? You won't try that in a small town?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But, it's a shame the kind of crime that we're starting to have here, but look out for your neighbors.
Yeah,
if you see somebody messing with somebody else's truck, go over and say something. Well, don't get shot, but go over and say something.
See something, say something.
See, what is it? See it, say it, sort it. That's what they say in London.
Oh, okay.
See it, say it, we'll sort it.
Sorted. See it, say it, sorted.
So, well, let's take a little break and get Peggy in here and hear what she's got going on with her and her husband's Anthony's political campaign for the sheriff.
Are you tired of being left in the dark when the power goes out? Say goodbye to blackouts with Nomic Power Solutions.
As your full-service Generac dealer, they offer individually designed backup power solutions.
From start to finish, they've got you covered.
Nomic Power Solutions, keeping you powered up.
Call or text 387-4232 or visit nomicpower.com. Follow on Instagram at Nomic Power for updates.
Nomic Power Solutions. Protect your home, protect your family, stay ready. Proudly sponsored by
At Capital Farm Credit, they understand that owning land is more than just a transaction. It's a legacy, a future, and a place to call your own.
For generations, Capital Farm Credit has been the trusted lending partner for land loans, farmers, ranchers, and rural dreamers just like you.
Their personalized loan solutions cater to your unique needs, making the journey to land ownership smoother than ever.
Capital Farm Credit, your land, your legacy. Visit capitalfarmcredit.com or Mark Rutledge at 512-892-4425.
Capital Farm Credit, an equal credit housing lender.
Interior design should be an investment in your life and home. Let M. Elliott Studio transform your space, where interior design meets excellence in Central Texas.
Beyond just selecting colors and furnishings, team principal and owner, Montana Elliott, is a trained and licensed interior designer.
With her knowledge of architectural principles, building codes, space planning, and design theory, her team will work with you to understand your needs and lifestyle.
From concept to completion, M. Elliott Studio is committed to enhancing your space with a timeless and classic style.
Ready to redefine your space?
melliottstudio.com, 512-781-0224.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Mallet Integrity Team of real estate professionals. They are based in Dripping Springs and bring you over 45 years of combined experience helping people reach their hill country real estate dreams. When you want the best in town, call them at 512-829-2062 or look them up at malletintegrityteam.com. And now, here's Steve and Michelle.
And welcome back. We are here with Peggy Hipolito. Welcome, Peggy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. This
Peggy,
is exciting.
I want to know what somebody who was born and raised in Oregon, how you end up in Texas.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Well, short version, maybe. My sister actually lived in Texas, and she had lived on and off in Texas for, maybe 8 years. And I tell people that I would always come long enough to hate the heat. So that means like I'd come for a week. I think I came one time for 2 weeks, and it was probably a July, August. I'm like, what in the world? And then one summer I came down for the entire summer, and I liked what Austin had to offer at the time. It was fun, the music and getting out. And
How old were you when you did that?
I think I was 27.
Okay.
Yeah.
What part of Oregon were you from?
I was right outside of Portland.
Oh, okay.
So on a suburb, Lake Oswego.
Okay. We, my wife and I have spent some time at Mount Hood, and it's gorgeous up there.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm going to be spending more time in Oregon. She's been helping me.
are.
Yes, I am, with Tate moving to Oregon. So,
Yes.
so it rains there all the time, though, right?
I mean, that's what they say. Yes. But it's funny, like when it rains here in Texas, I try to remember back. I'm like, did I ever walk from my car to the grocery store with an umbrella? But here it's like a monsoon, and you
Big
either have
thunderstorms, yeah. It's more like a sprinkling, nonstop rain.
Yeah. I mean, and then there's the days where it's a torrential downpour, but
Right.
nothing like the torrential downpour.
Yeah, but you don't get the 105-degree days there ever, right?
Yes, you do. It's, what global warming.
Yeah.
They are experiencing hotter days than they have. I think last year they did have some 105 days, which it's hard. Most of the homes don't have air conditioning. So
Yeah. When we went out there in July, we were going to circumnavigate Mount Hood, and there was too much snow on at sort of the
July?
base of Mount Hood. Yeah, we tried it. We couldn't do it. There was places where the snow was like 10 feet deep.
Yeah.
In July, and they were still skiing on the
That's
from
funny.
the Timberline Lodge. Yeah.
Well,
But
that sounds like fun.
Yeah. But, what'd you imagine yourself doing when you were little?
Oh gosh.
What did
Okay,
you
don't
envision
laugh.
your life was going to be like?
I don't know if I had a vision of what my life was going to be like, but I would say, when I was under 10, I wanted to be an attorney.
Oh, really?
Well, she rode a unicycle. She wrote that on her.
I know. I had that down there. Yeah, we have one behind the curtain here.
Yeah, we're gonna-
We'll break it out here in a few minutes.
We'll break your other shoulder.
Yeah,
There you go.
Yeah.
So you rode a unicycle in elementary school?
Yeah, they had a unicycle club, and I tried out for it.
I made it, Mom. I'm on the unicycle club.
I mean, have you ever ridden, Michelle? Have you ever ridden a unicycle?
Okay, Peggy.
She can't even walk.
I'm gonna
Peggy.
say I trip over my own feet just walking down the hallway. The fact that scares me, thinking me on
I'll
a
show
unicycle.
you the dent in the wall.
I will.
That's literally true.
There's a true dent in the wall. But no, I have not. But I used to do this like little lemon thing around my ankle, and I would skip.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that?
I do
that little
remember
thing?
those.
I don't know if you know
Oh,
that.
yeah. How many times did you fall doing that?
No, this is probably the beginning of my falling, but yeah, absolutely not. But so how different is this raising children here in Texas in Dripping Springs, and you came from Buda also, so you guys used to live in Buda, but how different is it living here the way you were raised?
Well, I mean, how I was raised is completely different than how we're raising our children. But
Same. Everybody can get an amen at this
no.
I
table
mean,
here.
on so
Learn
many
better,
levels.
do better.
That's right.
Right, for sure. One of the differences is the heat here. I mean, we always complain that our kids are sitting in front of TVs or computer screens now too much. And I mean, that wasn't necessarily the case when my girls were born. But to take them out, to go to the park or go for a walk or go for a picnic, I mean, you had to go out before 10 a.m. and then you're still coming back sweating. And so that always kind of blew my mind is to me, it wasn't enjoyable because I don't tolerate the heat well. And so getting out in the outdoors, which I love, is really difficult and challenging for me. So that's
There's
different.
a lot more public land in Oregon than there is in Texas too. Like you're saying, going into parks,
that's
it's
true.
amazing that Mount Hood wilderness is gigantic, and there's just trails all over it.
Yeah.
We don't have places like that as much in Texas.
No, I don't think so. I mean, there's a lot of hiking trails. I had joined some groups years ago thinking I would do it.
Yeah.
I won't because it's just too hot.
It is.
It's too
Wait
hot.
till you're my age, Peggy. It gets a lot harder when you get older.
I just bought, since I'm going to Disney World this week, I never thought I was going to be one of those people, but one of those little, it's like a little machine that goes around your neck. And
with the little fans on
Yes.
it.
I had one of those last summer. You didn't see it?
No,
when
I
we were at-
didn't. I was
No,
never going to
yeah.
be one of those people.
Me
And I was
either.
like,
Please wear it next
It's
week.
amazing.
I'm going to wear it.
I want to make
It's
fun of you.
It's no.
Is
you're
it?
gonna
Really?
have
want
one.
one.
She's gonna convert you. You will have one by end of summer. I guarantee you.
God.
It's amazing. But I'll tell you,
I'm going to
maybe buy
disagree with you,
two
Peggy. No,
Buy
I'm not
two?
wearing one of those.
Why buy two?
because the battery. Like I left mine running like the entire time we were out, and we were out like 6 hours, and then I was like, oh, my battery died.
I was worried it's going to eat my hair.
It will. Yeah. So
Oh, great.
Did you order it already?
Yes, I did.
Okay, because they have some where the fan is pointing in a different direction.
Oh, okay.
But it does. My hair was getting caught, but it was still worth.
I think I might have that problem too.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. Let me see. I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
I'm sure you
How
will.
did you meet Anthony?
Oh, this is funny. So let me tell you how I actually saw him before I met him, because people find that kind of funny. So where I worked, when I moved here, I got into property management. I did that in Oregon as well. And the courtesy officer at our apartment complex, he worked for APD, and he would always come into my office after work and just shoot the breeze and whatnot. But before he introduced Anthony and I remember sitting at a stoplight on William Cannon and Brody, and I'm in the left-hand turning lane, and I sitting there, and I'm like, who in the world has a license plate that says a hippo? That was my laughter probably came after, because I sat there scratching my head thinking, who in the world wants to be called a hippo? What's the A about? So fast forward, then his name was Brent, and the courtesy officer. And he came in one afternoon. He's like, "So do you date?" And I was like, well, "Yeah." And he told me, he's like, "Well, my partner thinks you're hot." And I was like, "Well, who's your partner?" And apparently he had come in. And
He goes, "A hippo."
Yeah.
A hippo. Yeah, I have a hippo that wants to date you.
Didn't know that yet. And so he set us up. And I remember the first time walking out to his car, and I was like, "You're a hippo."
You're the hippo.
You're a hippo. And yeah, so that, I just always laugh at that. It's
That is
it's
funny.
just
That's a great story.
Now you're P hippo.
right. Yeah.
So was Anthony a courtesy officer then too? Or
So he was working with APD. So a lot of
Okay.
times, and it could have changed over the years, but a lot of apartment communities hire courtesy officers. Some of them now have gone to just straight security companies, but a lot of them hire off-duty police officers. And that's what Brent was. He was an off-duty APD officer who lived in my apartment community, who was our courtesy officer. Anthony at the time also worked for APD and was a courtesy officer at another apartment community not too far down the road. And Brent and Anthony were, at the time, they were partners, if you will. At the time, gosh, this was 2004. APD did run some units with 2 patrol officers or officers in a unit, and that he was in a what was he in? It was called the street response, I think is what it was at the time, street response unit, and they were responsible for a variety of different low-level, I believe, I could be wrong on that, low-level drug and prostitution, gang things, and so they were side-by-side partners.
Yeah.
What did your family think about when you said you were dating a police officer?
I think that they were really happy.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how she's going to leave it. She's not going to give us any more juice.
I won't
about
dig
that.
into that anymore either.
Thank you.
Oh.
No,
So-
they liked him a lot.
Yeah. Well, good. Oh, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
We enjoyed interviewing him. I don't remember what episode that was, but that was 50 or 60.
You
ago.
told me a story. I won't go into the story, but you said that there's just crazy rumors out there about how people say that you guys have met, and just like your story, just in general. That must be really hard dealing with all these kind of false narratives that go out there about you, your family, your husband, people trying to disparage you guys, and you're just trying to do what's best for the community. And
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's natural on any level, right? We don't like people to think poorly of us. We don't like it when we hear rumors that are not true and that are hurtful. And, you take it to bring it into the law enforcement world when you bring in families, and then now in, the political world, it just brings a whole new element, and you see that behavior doesn't really stop, changes.
Yeah.
It gets a little bit more, it just gets different.
Don't you feel like there are people, sort of opposition research, that probably watch everything you say and do and then make stuff up about you
for
from
sure.
that? It's not even based in reality.
Her
That's-
social media, she's told me they just comb through, as much as she tries to make it private.
Yeah.
They comb through anything and everything that you post.
Yeah, years ago. The way that I have taken Anthony's job, because people do ask that a lot, is how do you deal being a wife of a police officer? And I've never viewed it as scary. And I don't know if that's partially because of Anthony himself and his demeanor. He has always done a really good job of not bringing his work home. And so I don't see that high level of intense, day-to-day demeanor that they have when they're out patrolling. He didn't bring the politics of work home. He didn't, of the office, the complaints. He's just an even keel.
He's so calming. He has a very calming energy about him. And how do you continue though to fight for what you feel is right? Like why Anthony is running.
It's got to be hard sometimes when they're just beating you down, and which is what they want you to do. They want you to give up. But how do you keep going?
In this situation, in the political realm, he had a goal. It wasn't to enter the political realm. It was to be the sheriff of Hays County. And most people don't or may not know that he's had this goal for 15 plus years. And it was specifically to come back to Hays County and be the sheriff. And it's meaningful to him. And, you know, through his career with APD, he had many opportunities to advance and promote in different units, but also learn from different leaders. And you have all kinds of leaders, right? You have great leaders, you have good leaders, you have some mediocre, and you have some that are not so good. And the other thing that I think is really valuable and that I learned from Anthony on is that even if he's amidst, you know, somebody that he doesn't agree with, whether their decision making or their leadership style, he learns from that. And he doesn't necessarily view it as, you know, or he doesn't let it get him down and anger him or frustrate himself as much as I would say some other maybe officers might. Because it's a situation he's in then, it doesn't mean that it's always going to be that way.
But don't you think that kind of starts from home because he has a safe space with you and the girls, and it really does. You know, I mean, because this was a family decision, right? You know, Anthony's not just going to go off and say, "Oh, guess what, honey? Now I'm officially throwing my hat in the ring." Yeah. This was probably a conversation between you and the girls, and he comes from a long line of law enforcement. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that, you know, this was a dream of his. It was a goal of his. And I remember when he told me, and I don't remember where we were living at the time. It was either Kyle or Buda. And we were driving out 150. And I want to say we were driving out towards Dripping Springs. And he just turned and he said, you know, I think I want to run for sheriff one day.
Was this before kids?
No.
Okay.
No, Anthony and I's romance was very quick.
Okay.
So, very quick. So I don't again, it was probably 15 years ago. So our oldest is about to turn 19. So we would have had a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old at the time. And, you know, Anthony's father was with APD and he retired after 30 years. And that was Anthony's kind of goal to do with APD was 30 years. So at that time, when he told me this, I was like, wait, what? Huh? We're not going to move to the mountains. Like, again, me and the heat don't necessarily get along. And so when he told me that, you know, my future plans and thoughts kind of changed. But as he was still a relatively new officer to APD, 15. So he was about 10 years, 11 years in at APD. But how do you tell somebody that you love no to following their dream?
A dream, yeah.
But it's not just any dream. You know, seeing the climate of APD, getting to know APD, getting to know the officers, getting to know the families, getting to know even out here in Hays County now, you know, the sheriff deputies, and getting to know them. Anthony is the person. He's the person that, you know, can fulfill the shoes that need to be filled right now and be that leader. And he's just the guy. So how can I say no to something that may scare me or, it may scare me. How do I say no to that? Yeah. Because I think he's the one for the community. He's the one for the officers. He's the one for the victims.
He's who we need right now. I mean, we do. When you said that I guess the climate of APD is the leadership of APD. It's not the officers. The majority of them. It's not.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the leadership of the APD is pretty good. It's the city council that's
that's what I mean. It's like it comes up from the top.
Yeah. The city council, has done a number on APD. You know, and I think that many industries are misunderstood, right? So if you're not directly involved in a profession, we get an outside glimpse.
Right.
And that is what...
That's fair. Yeah.
That's what I learned pretty quickly in law enforcement. And, when you asked, what did my family think? I don't want to say I was a wild child, but, they were probably like, thank goodness,
She's going to settle down.
she's going to be, she's with someone safe. And so I think that law enforcement is one of those professions that's widely misunderstood. And I say that from somebody who misunderstood it themselves. I've had instances where I've needed the police and not necessarily received the response that I wanted, hoped for, or, maybe needed. And so, you can put me in that category of not necessarily always having the best of experiences with police officers. And when I started to date Anthony, it opened my eyes. And I just think that that's one of the biggest issues in law enforcement is that it's just misunderstood. There's, from city to city, county to county, state to state, laws different. Laws differ. But not only laws, it's the training that the officers receive also. And so if you have somebody who moves from a town that has 500 people and you have one sheriff or, a constable, law enforcement's a little bit different around there, more than likely than it is if you come here. And, there's people don't understand there's differences between civil issues and public issues. And, it's just a profession that is hated loudly
over the last 5 years.
I was preparing for this podcast this morning. I was thinking about it, and there's a certain percentage of the population that vilifies police officers as like oppressors. They're holding them down. They're stopping them from advancing their life. And then there are people that, for a political reason, I think mostly because they want to use the money for other progressive causes, want to defund the police or whatever. But most people in a time of crisis, somebody breaks into your house or you're scared, if a police officer shows up, you are so thankful. I think a lot of people forget that. Those guys come to situations, don't know exactly what's going on to protect the people that are there. I think that gets overlooked a lot these days.
I mean, I think that there's a lot of people. I'm going to say, because I'm hopeful that the majority of the population support law enforcement, but I still think that there's a strong misunderstanding there that allows that strong support to diminish pretty quickly in a personal situation.
Have you personally witnessed any of that kind of negative behavior towards any police officers, like while Anthony has been running? While you've been with Anthony, has anybody come and said something besides an opponent?
Like come up to us and said...
just something horrid and just
not
ugly.
Horrid. I mean, there's been times through his career and our relationship where we have had encounters, and whether it be on social media or in
keyboard
a parking
warriors
lot of my daughter's school. Yeah. So there's people that are bold, whether he's in uniform or not. Nothing terrible now yet. We're told that it's coming. I think I had told you kind of back to the rumors. Apparently there's some wild and crazy rumor about how Anthony and I met. I'm waiting to hear what that is. I mean, really is not a juicy story at all.
I guarantee you, Peggy, that whoever tells that story knows it's not true, is only telling it to damage the cause. And it's like, that's getting so old these days. Yeah. People just make stuff up to see if it'll stick.
Yeah. Well, that, and it's just sad that you have to, I mean, to me, it's fear. To me, they're doing that for fear. I mean, we had an opponent's wife take photos of Anthony and I. I'm not quite sure why yet.
What?
Yeah, we were at a restaurant, and it was
That's
the
very
weirdest
invasive
thing ever. She didn't hide behind the tree very well. in a pretty empty restaurant.
You need to point her out next time if we're together. I'm gonna go to the other tree and I'm gonna take pictures of her.
Yeah. So I'm waiting to see what those photos come out like.
Yeah. Or like, oh, what were you doing? It's so scandalous. Oh.
So Anthony won the primary, and he's running for the Republican position of sheriff, and then
in Hayes County.
And then there's a Democrat opponent.
Correct.
Supposedly.
Yeah. What's are you? How do you guys keep track of how Anthony's doing? Is there polling or? And if you have an idea, how is he doing?
Well, we don't ever want to be too confident because I think when you're too confident, not necessarily that we get lax. I think that our supporters and the supporters out there and the voters think, oh, I don't have to show.
Yeah, that's happened. Yeah.
But as far as polling goes, no, we really haven't gone into that aspect yet. That's still kind of, we waited for the primary to get over for a lot of the numbers to come in. I think we're going to see what the runoff election, the school board election does. And, we're game planning of things to do. I think it looks good, the numbers from the primary election. Anthony pulled in, more votes than both of the Democratic candidates on the sheriff combined. So that's promising. But we're also not naive to the fact that this is a very polarizing election year.
And how is he bridging that gap with the students in San Marcos? Because that is where I feel like they vote. I mean, it's evident with the county clerk, right? They vote with just a letter.
It's almost like we have two counties in Hayes County. We have the south end of the county and the north end of the county, and they're just completely different.
Yeah.
Is he reaching out to some of the people?
Yeah. A lot of it, everybody has an opinion and everybody has a thought on what we need to be doing. And it's valuable. But we also need to not wear people out, not like, I don't want to say overstay our welcome, but sometimes people can only handle so much. But that being said, we have a massive area to cover and a lot of people to meet and a lot of schedules to fit in. And so we've been at this for years, actually now, about 3 years. When he started with the Hayes County Sheriff, that was in the making, he, can I debunk one?
Please,
go ahead.
Please. You heard it here.
First breaking. Yeah. People are referring to Anthony as the chosen one. Gary Cutler's chosen one. Oh, geez. And while he is so grateful to have Gary's support and endorsement, and that is so valuable, Anthony was going to run whether or not he had the support of Gary Cutler or not. Now, that said, he was never going to run against Gary Cutler.
No.
Yeah.
So he's smart in what he does. He's known Gary a long time. He grew up kind of with his sons, and the families have kind of known each other a long time. And then just being in law enforcement, both the families. But yeah, that rumor, I was just, that one just makes me laugh. It makes me laugh, but it also makes me like a little sad.
Maybe at the Founders Day parade, he should wear like a robe. Anthony shouldn't. Oh,
King Anthony.
Yeah.
King Hippo. So you aren't from a political family. You don't have a political background. Now you're in this world of politics.
Wow.
What's surprised? Yeah, I know. What has surprised you the most though about all this? I have just in the back of my brain a couple times thought maybe I should get into politics. But I think what you're going to say is the reason why I never did. But what surprised you the most?
I think there's been a lot of surprises, when this was all kind of in the works. And we were probably a year plus behind the scenes, if you will, before he came out and announced. And so in that year time frame, we've both been asked numerous times, are you sure you're ready for this? Are you sure you're ready for this?
By people that have been in it for a while.
Yeah, by people that have been in for a while. And I'm like, he's wanted to do this forever. We're going to do it. And now that, we're deep in it, I'm just I have a lot of emotions, and I don't know which is more prevalent, but it kind of makes me sad. I think it's one of those things, if you're not in it, it's so misunderstood. And you have people on all party sides that have such strong opinions, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's understanding the inside that I think people don't have that knowledge of as to why sometimes things are done the way they are. For example, we get the emails that Anthony has gotten, I don't want to say that they're frustrating, but some of them are, because they're questions that don't even pertain to him, don't even pertain to
like, what's your stand on abortion kind of thing?
He hasn't, I don't think he's gotten that one yet, but I mean, it's, what was one of them? I mean, one of them that I don't know why it's sticking out. What are your thoughts on Chip Roy? Here's the deal. Like, okay, so does that person support Chip Roy? Does that person not support Chip Roy? And so you have to kind of pause and be like, what is the end goal here? Right. Like, what do they want?
Just be true to yourself.
Yeah. Be true to yourself. But also, like, when you stop and think about it, and I don't want to sound naive here myself, but what does Chip Roy have to do with
Hayes County Sheriff's Office? Yeah.
And so that's the part. Now, there might be a little piece of something down the road that maybe a sheriff has to reach out and, and work together on. But that question to me, while important to whomever asked it, that's what's surprising me, is it's the questions that don't pertain to
the job.
So that question, if I was on the receiving end of that, I would think this person has an agenda, and they're either looking for me to say something that will say, "Yep, that's why I'm not voting for you," or they're hoping that you'll say the thing that they can say, "Okay, now I will support."
Or as a gotcha.
Their agenda is, they're really hoping that you'll go one way or the other and not be honest with them, but. Are you guys answering all of these emails?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, some of them have been sitting in queue for a little while, and it's because time, we are really busy, and
you want to be thoughtful when you respond, right?
For sure. And these aren't off the cuff answers, and he like you said, Michelle, be truthful to who you are. But sometimes that, and I am guilty of that. Like, I am a very literal person. And so sometimes that literalness needs to be softened a little bit, needs to have a little PC around
Don't
it.
sit next to me.
I bet you two go out together, you're in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
Don't sit next to me. I want to circle back to when you guys first came here to Dripping Springs, and that was right around 2018, right?
We did, December
give or take.
2018.
And you came here, I read a story about Anthony a while ago. The reason why, or not the total reason, but one of your daughters was showing pigs. And so a pig brought you to Dripping Springs. And I was always under the assumption that you guys have always just been here because you've acclimated so well to the Dripping Springs culture. And he is one of the announcers at the football game, and your kids are very acclimated into the community. How has moved here to Dripping Springs? How has that worked for your family? And what is it about Dripping Springs, I guess, that you just love?
Well, we love it here. I do have a funny story when we first moved here, when we closed on our house. So remind me of that, and I'll tell you that. But when we lived out in Kyle, we lived in Kyle from 2005 to 2014. I think we started looking out here in Dripping Springs, and I think we went through 2008 market, wasn't able to sell our house. And, fast forward to 2014, we moved to Buda. And then it was at that time that our oldest started showing pigs. And I grew up with animals, and I am very attached to my animals, and my girls are very much like me. And the conversation of, you're not keeping this pig. Oh, I know. And that went, we picked her up in August, maybe July. And by October, we had put our house on the market.
Oh,
We sold our house for a pig.
There's a lot of good things. And I don't know if it was the best decision, but it is because we love it out here. I mean, we had wanted to move out here for a long time. To me, it's as close to rolling hills of Oregon that is in this vicinity.
Yeah.
But I loved the land. I loved the layouts just of the community.
Yeah.
And so, in short, I tell people that we sold our house and bought a house for a pig. And the pig got a barn before the kitchen got remodeled.
Yeah.
So you said you had a funny story about closing on the house.
Oh, well, yeah, like our introduction, if you will, to Dripping Springs. We closed on our house. We closed in the morning. And I think that I had forgotten, some keys. So we had to go back to Buda, pick keys up. And we were driving down 12, almost to the light at 290. And you know how that road right in front of Sherman, it's Sherman-Williams, right? The paint store?
Yeah.
So how that road kind of is a little wonky. It's like one lane and then you can turn right and you have the center. Well, we were in the single lane. Well, Anthony, I think he was in his patrol car at the time. And he gets honked at. And we're like, where are we supposed to go? Yeah. The lady pulled next to him on his driver's side, honked, rolled her window down and was yelling, pointing, learn to drive. And he's like, I'm in the lane. Yeah. And she's like, that's not how we do it around here. That was, I was like, oh, okay. It was just, it's funny.
At least it was that interaction and they didn't stick you on the neighbor's page and take a picture
of you.
Yeah, for sure.
Peggy, is the property that you own the place that you find peace now? And all this chaos that's going on in your life, how are you finding peace?
Oh, that's a great question. I think I search for it daily.
Yeah. Don't we all?
Yeah, I think I am an extrovert introvert. And
that's funny that you say that.
Okay.
Because I read that you had said that. Mm-hmm. And then the other day when I saw Anthony, I said, it's so funny because that she's such an introvert and she has to be an extrovert. He goes, no, she's the extrovert.
Yeah. He is introverted, if you didn't know that, right? It's sometimes pulling teeth to get him to talk.
A lot of times very calm people are introverts, though, and he's very calm.
He's a watcher.
Yeah.
And I think it took me a long time to figure that out. But I'd say I am, too. He's an observer. I don't want to say watcher. That kind of sounds a little creepy.
That's creepy. But you mean behind a tree? Taking pictures of people?
Never. Unless he was going after a bad guy. Yeah, so finding peace, I honestly, our schedule is so busy. I think at night, just laying down.
Just chilling out.
Yeah, we did buy a hot tub last year. And so we've kind of made a little outdoor space for us. And, that's kind of our nightly, go unwind, relax.
It's so important to have every single day to have some moments of peace in this chaotic life that we all have. If you, life can get out of control if you don't do that.
Very quickly.
I know you have, outside of being this political strategist now, add that to your resume, but you are an agent, a real estate agent. And so you've kind of put your business in the back seat so that you can focus on Anthony. But there's something that you do, which I really love, and you call them your morning coffee thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the ones that you said, this is one of my favorites. I'm always disappointed when a liar's pants don't actually catch on fire.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right?
It was very funny.
Is this on Instagram or something?
On Facebook and Instagram. And then she had another one, something about I can't remember. It was something about don't be petty. And I wrote, can I just be a little petty? And she's like, it depends on the situation. Yeah. But where are you pulling your quotes from? Are these things that you're just hearing or you're,
No, that's probably one thing that I do to try to start my day off, right, is I get up. I mean, I used to get up with Anthony and work out. Things have changed a little bit. He still is a 5 a.m. gym person. I get up and I drink my coffee.
Yeah.
I have my thoughts.
Because of your shoulder surgery.
I haven't been able to work out for a long time because of the pain. But for me, it's starting my day out and just what has been on my mind, what's been bothering me, what's been weighing me down, what do I think, others may be experiencing that I'm seeing. And it usually starts with one word. And then I honestly I start to Google, and then I start to read through all of these quotes, and it's the one that resonates with whatever I'm feeling at the time that gets shared. And so if it's in a quote, it's a quote. And if it's not, then it's a random Peggy thought.
Peggy's thoughts. Well, they speak to me.
Yeah,
they speak to me.
I'm glad.
Maybe it's because I've been hanging out with you more. And maybe I should go back and see if any of them are about me.
Peggy, you said in your bio that you're a people pleaser and you're trying to work through that or work past that. How's that going? How's that journey going?
Oh, well, isn't everybody a people pleaser?
No. Sometimes.
Pause, cricket. I think I don't like to disappoint people, and so that's the people pleaser. Now, is that healthy? No, I recognize that it's not. And I recognize especially, where we're at today, with Anthony running for sheriff, that thought that it just has to leave my brain and my body. And so it's, again, my daily coffee thoughts. Those are my, let it go. Those are my reminders of to not let things weigh me down so much.
Michelle and I talk all the time about somebody else's issue, somebody else's problem doesn't always have to be our issue or problem. And so if they're trying to make it your problem, you don't have to let them make it your problem.
Right.
So,
yeah. And other people's opinions are theirs, not mine.
Yeah, that's right. That's a bad trap to fall into, is to be so worried about somebody else's opinion of you that you're trying to make them like you. And in politics, honestly, a lot of times, no matter what you do, they're not going to like you.
Somebody that may have liked you yesterday may not like you today. Yeah. That is kind of thing. I think when you talked about your protecting your peace and your fun time, I was reading that, I know that you used to be a fitness instructor, but you also like to walk in nature and hike, but then said that you haven't picked up your camera in a long time as far as photography. Yeah. Can you do that with one hand?
Oh, I can't do that with one hand. And I mean, I would have to probably upgrade my equipment now because I can't see. It's really hard with the cameras that I have to use my glasses, and I cannot wear contacts. And so, there's a lot of reasons why I haven't picked, time, really just time.
Yeah.
So,
You said in your bio that you aspire to either open a nonprofit or a snow cone stand. I love that.
That was funny.
That may be the title of our show right
Nonprofit snow cone.
Yeah.
So back to when I would come and visit my sister, she would always take me to, what was it called? It was down on...
It's like a raspa stand.
Was it a shave ice place?
It was the only... Okay.
Is it on Congress?
It was...
There's one on...
It's the original. We would drive. She lived in up north Jollyville area, and we would drive downtown.
Michelle's gonna look for it.
Maybe it was snow. I can't remember what the name was. Anyway, we would go, and I had never had a snow cone like this. I mean, we had the chunky ice.
Because it was probably raspa. It was like a raspa. It was shaved ice.
But there's different shaved ice qualities, Michelle.
Well, if it has
Is it the ice or is it the stuff you pour on it?
It's the ice.
It's the ice,
it almost makes it like...
it melts.
Yeah, it melts.
Every time I'd come, we would talk about...
Jim's water ice?
No, it was like snow something, and it was SNO.
Oh, and okay. Yeah, SNO.
Snow, what, you have to tell me when you find it.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
They were the best. And so I,
You've always wanted to have a snow cone stand.
I've always wanted to have a snow cone stand. I mean, it's silly, you know.
If you were going to do the nonprofit of that, what kind of nonprofit would you go into?
Well, it wouldn't have to do with the snow cone.
Yeah, it wouldn't be.
No.
That's not what I meant.
You know, the idea. I mean, we can have
A snow cone for every person in the world.
Right.
We can brainstorm right here. What kind of nonprofit
snow cones
snow
for
cone?
everybody.
That's funny. Well, years ago, when there was one of the lotteries that was like the billion something, I mean, my girls were like 8. My oldest was 8, I want to say. And I remember like the conversations maybe going on Bobby Bones or some of the other radio shows or TVs of what would you do? What would you do if you won this money? And I had this thought. I was like, well, if you win that money, anything that you ever wanted, you don't have to want for anymore.
No, that's right.
So what are you going to do that's going to really be fulfilling? I mean, you could probably travel every day and you could probably buy something, but ultimately that's not going to be fulfilling, or at least it wouldn't be fulfilling for me.
Might be for a little while, but eventually it wears out.
And so I asked my girls, I'm like, what would you do with this money to not only just better yourselves, but better other people? And to me, I mean that, you know, I don't want to sound like, I don't even know what the word is right at the moment, but like to me, like giving back to people. And I think that just comes from my childhood and things that I've experienced is I truly get joy out of helping people. So whether it's in, you know, a time of crisis or whether it's in a time of celebration, I enjoy helping people. And through raising our daughters, you know, our youngest had some food allergies. And so we went from being your hamburger helper dinner family to eating 100% clean. I made everything. And you know, at that time I was in the fitness industry. And so I just seen a lot of people come for help in their weight loss journey or health fitness journey. You see that there's a lot of trauma attached, whether it be food related or physical or emotional trauma. And to me at the time, and it still resonates deeply with me, is I would open a healing ranch. I know that sounds really sappy.
I don't think so.
But that makes my heart happy because it's something that people need. You know, I mean, we're talking more and more about mental health nowadays, and having access to that, but just other things. You know, I think if we can, you know, fix the adults that, you know, have had trauma, and you can pass it down to the generations.
Relearning some of the things that we've been taught that are not healthy.
And it just so happens to have a snow cone place at the entrance.
I mean, they make everybody happy like jelly beans.
It just so happens.
Snow cones and jelly beans.
Snow cones and jelly beans,
Peggy, where do you see your life different a year from now?
Oh gosh, it'll
Win,
be
lose, and different. Yeah.
It'll be one way or the other. Well, in a year from now, what I do know is our oldest will be living in Lubbock.
That's right.
So I know that that's going to be hard for me.
Yes, I bet it is.
Going to tech?
She is, yeah. I would say that's the only like sure thing that I know. There's just too many uncertainties. I mean, I know that whatever happens, you know, we're going to continue moving forward. And
you're still going to be a family. You're still going to be Anthony's biggest supporter.
Yeah. I mean, much of what we do now, like you mentioned, you know, the involvement in the community, like we've done that everywhere we've lived. And so that's not going to change. You know, Anthony does what he does because that's who he is. I think his dad was very involved in the community and in the sports world. And, you know, some people will say that Anthony is just, you know, being, you know, the announcer at these different schools, you know, to get out there. He doesn't even say his name. No. But he actually started announcing games, I believe, when he was in high school. And he's done it throughout the years. And I always would joke with him that he needed to become the next, I'm so not like into the sports world. The WW, who's the announcer?
Yeah,
now it's
yeah.
the MMA fighter. I'm like, that's your next job.
Color commentary for MMA.
Well, maybe as sheriff as Hays County, he'll get that opportunity sometimes, unfortunately, especially down on the drag in San Marcos. You just never know.
Yeah. You'd be good at it.
Well, Peggy, this has been a lot of fun getting to know you. And we've talked before we started recording about why we started this podcast so that people will be nicer to people once they know them a little bit more. And so I just want to tell our listeners, be nice to Peggy. She's really sweet. I've really enjoyed, getting to know you a little bit.
And if you're not nice, you'll have to deal with me.
Yeah, that's right. But we're all in this world doing the best we can, right?
That's right.
Everybody's doing it. So just give everybody a break.
Cut some people a break. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Just be nice. It doesn't take
Even you don't even have to agree with you. Just be nice.
I was
going to
say that. Even if you disagree, you can still be nice.
Yeah.
You can be respectful.
Be respectful. Don't make up lies.
And stop hiding behind trees. Come on. You want my picture? Take it.
Come ask.
Just come ask. Can we take a selfie?
That's
You
true.
know what's funny is if that whole thing would have happened where they said, hey, can we take a selfie together? You guys would have probably been friends. You would have probably sat and talked for a little while instead of this.
Well, this was the opponent's wife.
okay.
I don't
But you know
really
what, though?
But
Maybe,
you sit down with somebody. Yeah, even if you are, well, I don't know what's been said, but I do think sometimes that a face-to-face can go a long
You're
way
exactly right.
towards making people be respectful.
And even if they don't agree, even just breaking bread a little bit and saying, hey, you know what? I'm so-and-so's wife. I would love to be able to have a picture with you. You know what? Absolutely. Here. What,
And from the public's point of view, two people engaged in a political contest, seeing a picture of their wives together, like, oh, there's some civility there. Maybe we all need a little bit of that these days, don't we?
There you go.
That's
it's the
true.
civility.
I mean, I always tell people confrontation doesn't have to be a bad thing.
No.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
I guess it just depends how it starts.
And how it ends.
And
There you go. And with
Yeah.
that, and on that note, Peggy,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us. I know I bullied you into this, but
You did
for
great.
having me.
but I appreciate it.
And we wish Anthony all the best with it.
you.
So this will be the November 2024 election
Correct,
that
yes.
we're
Buckle
we
up,
decide who the
Buttercup.
next
Yeah.
sheriff of Hays County is.
Yeah.
And that we have a little presidential election going on also.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
Just something little.
just something little.
Well, there should be a huge turnout for that.
There will
one,
be a
so.
huge turnout. Yes. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Peggy.
Thank
I
you.
really enjoyed this.
See you at the parade.
See you there.
Yep.
Ready to turn your land dreams into reality? Look no further than Capital Farm Credit.
Need a loan for your perfect piece of land? Capital Farm Credit is there for you.
Their dedicated team will tailor a loan to fit your unique needs because your dreams are their priority.
Capital Farm Credit. Your land, your legacy. Visit capitalfarmcredit.com or Mark Rutledge at 512-892-4425.
Capital Farm Credit. Together, we're better.
Capital Farm Credit, an equal credit housing lender.
Nomic Power Solutions, keeping you powered up.
Get to know your local full-service Generac dealer.
Cody and Dylan with Nomic Power Solutions are a veteran-owned, Texas-based Generac dealer and installer.
Offering low monthly payment options, it's never been easier to gain independence from the grid.
Call or text 512-387-4232 or visit nomicpower.com. Follow on Instagram at Nomic Power for updates.
Turnkey service including design, plumbing, electrical, and permits.
They even offer set it and forget it maintenance plans. Nomic Power Solutions.
Protect your home. Protect your family. Stay ready. Elevate your living experience with M. Elliott Studio, your trusted partner in interior design, registered and licensed by the state of Texas.
You want your home to reflect your personal style and identity. Investing in a well-crafted design doesn't just beautify your home, it enriches your life.
Team principal and owner, Montana Elliott, understands the profound impact of a thoughtfully designed space. From remodeling to full design, M. Elliott Studio is the first step to unlocking your style.
Turn your aspirations into reality. Tailored to your taste and desires, M. Elliott Studio will work to create an environment that embraces your style with style.
Your space, their expertise.
MElliottStudio.com. 512-781-0224.
This show has been brought to you in part by the real estate pros at the Mallet Integrity Team. When you're looking to buy or sell, you need them on your side. Why settle for less when you can have real estate done right? Give them a call at 512-829-2062 or get more info at malletintegrityteam.com.
You know you like us, so go now to Apple Podcast or Spotify and leave us a review. Why don't ya? We love your feedback and comments. Email us at malletandmichelle@gmail.com.
Thanks for putting up with us.